Picture a caveman. Go on. You already have the image. A man, dragging a slab of meat back to a fire. Muscles built entirely from hunting. That's the picture we've been sold for decades. The caveman diet. Meat, meat, and more meat. It's the foundation of entire diet trends. Entire fitness philosophies. Entire ways of eating. There's just one problem. It's almost completely wrong. And what ancient humans actually ate is stranger, smarter, and far more surprising than the story we've been telling ourselves. Let's start with the obvious question. If hunting was so central to survival, why did hunts fail so often? The anthropologist Frank Marlowe spent years studying the Hadza, one of the last hunter-gatherer groups on Earth. He tracked their hunting success rate. On any given day, most hunters came home, empty-handed. A successful large kill happened, maybe once every few days, sometimes less. Meat was not a daily guarantee. Meat was a lottery. So if meat wasn't reliable, what were people actually eating every single day? The answer is plants. Overwhelmingly, plants. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer diets have documented some groups eating over 100 different plant species, roots, tubers, berries, nuts, leaves, not a handful of vegetables, a rotating menu, more diverse than almost anything in a modern supermarket. Compare that to the average Western diet today. Most people regularly eat around 20 different foods total. Ancient humans were eating 5 times that variety, without a single supermarket, without a single farm. Now here's where it gets interesting. Who was actually bringing in most of that food? Not the hunters. In many hunter-gatherer societies, women provide more than half of the camp's daily calories. They go out in groups, they dig, they climb, they gather, and they come home every single day with food that doesn't depend on luck. The men feast you, the women feed you, and there's one group that outperforms everyone. Grandmothers. Anthropologists studying the Hadza found something remarkable. Women in their 50s and 60s bring back more food per day than mothers in their 20s. Some are still walking 5 to 10 miles into their 70s. This gave rise to something called the grandmother hypothesis. The idea that grandmothers feeding their grandchildren made the entire species more successful. It may be part of the reason human women live for decades, past menopause. No other primate does this. So the real engine of the ancient diet wasn't a man with a spear. It was an older woman with a digging stick. Let's talk about fire, but because this changes everything too. The primatologist Richard Wrangham proposed something called the cooking hypothesis. His argument, cooking food didn't just make it taste better. It made calories dramatically easier to absorb. Raw food takes enormous energy to digest. Cooked food releases its energy almost immediately. Wrangham argued this extra, easier energy is part of what allowed the human brain to grow so large so quickly. Cooking wasn't a lifestyle choice. It was a biological turning point. Meat and plants. Transformed by fire. Built the brain you're using right now. Now let's talk about what they weren't eating. No refined sugar, no white flour, no seed oils, no ultra-processed anything. But that doesn't mean it was some perfectly clean, pure diet. Diets varied enormously. Depending on where people lived, Arctic groups ate mostly animal fat and meat. Tropical groups ate mostly plants, fruit, and fish. Desert groups survived on roots, nuts, and whatever they could find. There was no single ancient human diet. There were hundreds of them, shaped entirely by geography. The idea of one universal caveman diet doesn't hold up to the evidence. What they all shared wasn't a food list. It was a pattern, diverse, seasonal, whole, nothing engineered to be eaten in excess. Here's a statistic that should stop you. Hunter-gatherer societies studied today show almost no obesity, almost no type 2 diabetes, almost no heart disease. Not because they were trying to be healthy, they had no concept of diet at all. Their bodies simply never encountered food built to override their appetite. Modern processed food is engineered, specifically to make you eat more than you need. Ancient food couldn't do that. It wasn't designed by anyone. It just was. So here's where we are. The caveman didn't live on meat alone. He barely had meat most days. The actual foundation of the ancient diet was dozens of plants, gathered mostly by women, and especially by grandmothers, transformed by fire, and shaped completely by geography. Modern diet culture sold us a simple story, because simple stories sell. But the truth was never simple. It was diverse. It was seasonal. It was earned step by step, plant by plant, day by day. We didn't inherit a diet. We inherited a relationship with food, one built on variety, effort, and eating what the land actually gave you. And somewhere between then and now, we lost the relationship and kept only the myth of the meat.